success. So without y'all.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our Heisman watch. I didn't put it up on here, but I sent you a list of the Heisman contenders. And just to go with a couple of those names on the list, your quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Jaden Daniels, Jordan Travis, Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake May, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, that will go down because of the injury, Kyle McCord, DJ Ungalele, Blake Corum, Jalen Milroe, Caleb Williams, Drew Alar, Sam Hartman, Malik Neighbors, and Keon Coleman. You look at that list, and the first thing that pops out to me, you guys are at the top, man. How you feel about this?
I feel like I'm glad I didn't have to pound the table too much for this. JJ, outside of one game this year, has been lights out.
Right.
Been near perfect in pretty much every game he's been in. I like Ben's comment here because it's so true. There's not a clear-cut guy. Right. Like, you look at those betting odds, JJ's plus 240. Penix and Jaden Daniels are right behind him at plus 300. Like, this is so close. You still have Travis, who has big-time games ahead of him. Remember, this isn't decided until after that conference championship game.
Exactly.
So, I think Daniels is going to play himself out just because he doesn't have much in the way of those big-time games left.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the reason I love JJ being up there already, we still have Penn State, we still have Ohio State ahead of us. So, to me, I love that he's getting out there early. I think this is, if a Michigan guy is going to get it, this is the year, and it's going to be JJ. Because he has been borderline perfect all year.
Yeah. Hey, and it's a perfect set of situations. You got Caleb not playing great. Hartman obviously has fallen down a little bit. His numbers aren't as great, and those two losses definitely hurt him. But also the fact that Notre Dame's not going to play in a conference championship. So he's not going to get that one more game to, help his bid to get in here. I did notice also on this list, Drake May dropped. And I agree with it. He's still putting up great numbers. We still see what kind of character he has, but we're not – the one loss, I don't think that will hurt him as much as there have been games where maybe he has been struggling a little bit, or there are times where he's just maybe it's not the best statistical performance, Mm-hmm. But what do you think about the drop? Does that affect the draft? Anything of that nature?
Oh, no. He's the number 2 quarterback in the draft. That's locked in. And that's another guy I feel like he's going to climb his way back in. I think even though he's way down on that list right now, I think there's a realistic chance that Drake May could be in New York for that final 4 or 5, whatever it is. Oh, yeah. Because, like we said, he's got Duke, he's got Clemson, he's got NC State, and potentially a matchup with Jordan Travis. So, I think it's set up for Drake to climb his way back in, and I think he can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think those games later in the year are going to be the deciding factor. How he finishes out this year is going to be huge for him and how he plays in the conference championship. So I'm definitely eager to see. Blake Corum, last year before the injury, top 3 without a doubt. One of the best running backs in the country. This year is not as high, but it's not because he's not as good. It's because the team's success is just they don't really need him to be pounding the rock like they need to. Is there a chance he rises up in this list, or you think he's a casualty of JJ?
Yeah, I think he's a casualty of JJ. Like, I mean, we look at JJ's numbers again. Like, he's got, if you take away that Bowling Green game where he had all 3 of his interceptions, 16 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah. So,
to me, I think, one, he's putting up numbers that matches a lot of these guys, and he's playing 2.5, 3 quarters. So, I think with those Penn State and Ohio State games where he'll have to play 4 quarters, I think that'll push him ahead. I love Corum and what he's doing for Michigan. I mean, he's at, 12 rushing touchdowns or something already, like something ridiculous like that. But he hasn't had to carry the offense like he did last year.
Right. And that's the thing. I've seen a lot of his numbers aren't necessarily 100 yards, but he'll have 2 touchdowns, or he'll have done just enough or more than enough. And then obviously they're yanking him out of the game because, God forbid injury. They don't want any parts of that. So I like him.
Like he's averaging over 5 yards a carry, 605 yards, 13 touchdowns on 111 carries. So he's still being an elite running back. It's just with less of a sample size. Because I would have loved to see through 8 games what he was at last year. Yeah. I might try and find that, but he had way more than 111 carries. I'll say that. Way more.
Absolutely. So I saw up here Johnny saying this. Could there be a tight end? With Brock Bowers getting hurt, unfortunately, no.
Yeah, he's out of it.
It's already hard enough for him to get it with a full healthy season. If you get injured, I mean, it's damn near impossible. So, but that does bring something else up that I wanted to ask you about. Blake Corum, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, all non-quarterbacks. We know how very difficult it is for a non-quarterback to get it. He has to be otherworldly to get that Heisman Trophy winner. Is there a chance that Marvin Harrison, you talked about your boy Blake, any of these guys come up late in the year and take over?
The only one that'll really have a shot is Marvin Harrison Jr. And he's sitting at 6th right now, or 7th, sorry. He's sitting at 7th right now on that list. He might push himself into New York as that 5th guy, but I'm thinking he's going to land just outside.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen games like the Notre Dame game where he was essentially taken out of the game. So he's playing a lot this year, like some of those other Ohio State receivers were, where it's making that business decision and just trying to get through the season unscathed. Because you'll see like 5 plays a game where it's like, oh my God, well, like what did he just do?
Right.
And then he just kind of disappears for the rest of the game. And he'll still end with like 11 receptions, 160 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But it's just he disappears for so long at a time that I think he'll fall just outside.
Yeah, I can see that. Johnny said, when did Bowers get hurt? Bowers got hurt before the bye week. They had a bye week last week, so the week before that. And they're saying he's out potentially for the end of the rest of the season, but I think they were saying right now, unofficial timetable, I think it's like 4 to 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And Roman Wilson pushes his way on the list before him. He's been having a stellar year. What are your thoughts about him being on this list?
I love what he's been doing, and I'd love for him to get on the list. But again, I feel like it's one of those situations where, like, when Caleb Williams was doing really well last year, it was like, yeah, okay, but there's like a Jordan Addison here that could make the list, and it's like, yeah, but it's Caleb. Like, I think the quarterback is just taking so much of the limelight in this situation for the Heisman and everything that it's going to screw Roman Wilson over. And the big thing is he's got a ton of touchdowns, but he's under 450 yards receiving.
Oh, wow.
So he's been a touchdown machine.
Yeah.
But, like, JJ spreading the ball around, like, there's 3 guys that are over 350 yards, and then you've got another 3 guys that are between 1 and 200 yards. Like, there's like 7 or 8 guys that are 100 yards plus.
Yeah.
And that's with most of them playing 3 quarters a game. So,
I
feel like Roman's he's another guy that won't get the recognition he probably deserves, but the numbers will also push him out.
Right. What's going on, Nathan? Nathan said, is Williams still the guy? Has someone closed in on him for Heisman? Williams is far down the list at this point.
Oh, yeah, he's out of the Heisman race.
Yeah, after those 2 losses, and I mean, look, we've seen what he did, the 3 interceptions against Notre Dame. He didn't play. I mean, he did decent in the game against Utah, but again, wasn't able to get it done. Yeah,
barely escaped Arizona.
Right. He's far down that. Yeah, he's pretty much out of there. So we will definitely see. Johnny said no defensive candidates. It's again, if it's hard for the tight ends to get it, it's equally as hard for the defensive candidates. And we've gotten teased with Aiden Hutchinson recently and how well he played. But to be honest, like, unless you have a guy the likes of a Dion or a Charles Woodson for you guys who can play both ways and be that kind of threat, it's going to be super hard.
Well, it took Hutchinson getting 15 sacks,
right,
to be in that conversation. So you've got to have elite level numbers to be even considered. And he ended up getting second, but it was kind of like I'm kind of surprised he got here in the first place. So, and that was with 15 sacks. So,
yeah. And that's and he having that game that he had against Ohio State, playing the biggest game. Talk about the Heisman moment. That was huge for him. Nathan, the front runner right now is JJ McCarthy, the quarterback from Michigan. So yeah, buddy. So look, it's only going to get, the list is only going to get slimmer. We're only going to focus more and more on this and what's coming down the pike. Watch these games, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of this is when you start to see, if you haven't already, this is where you start to see that Heisman moment. You know what I mean? When these guys start playing the big-time games, you guys, Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State, when these guys have those moments, then they come out, that's the thing that really sways the voters. I mean, the numbers, they're what props them up. But that moment that makes you forget, that Desmond Howard doing the Heisman in the end zone, that Charles Woodson returning, the kicks and the interceptions and all the crazy things they do. Those are these moments that you remember, and they play a big part. They play a big part.
They absolutely do. It's almost more a moment trophy now than it is a stats trophy.
Very true. Absolutely. All right, look, ladies and gentlemen, definitely stay tuned. That's about as much as he's going to get. And I am not hating on your boy Brady Cook, but the most honorable mention he's going to get is this comment on.
It's going to take him winning the SEC to have a shot.
Oh yeah. He's going to have to beat Georgia. And look, hey, Scott, we know if you win the SEC, you're going to wash your hat. So we're kind of hoping to see that happen.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's move on. Oh, wait a minute. Maryland might not have their co-offensive coordinator for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Ooh.
On the bye week, he got arrested in Florida. Kevin Sumlin. That name ring a bell? The old Texas A&M coach.
What?
Yeah, he was the co-offensive coordinator at Maryland with, I believe, Josh Gaddis this year.
Wow.
And they're on the bye week, and he was down in Florida and got yanked for a DUI.
Come on, people. Come on. Get it together.